What's good, you guys? So, as you can tell by the title and thumbnail of this video, talking a bit of 2007 movie figures. And this is something that I've kind of been thinking about over the last few days, because I've been looking into getting more 2007 movie toy line figures, and I've been feeling a little nostalgic for that first movie and the era and the rollout, everything involved with it. And I was looking at the figures. I've talked about this on the channel a little bit over the last couple of years, but I don't think I've made a dedicated video on this topic yet. Maybe I did in some different form and fashion like a year or two ago, and I just can't remember. I don't know, I've made over 1,000 videos on the channel. It gets hard to remember and track everything, but I've been thinking, like, you look at these figures, you look at the aesthetics and engineering of how they were made, and you compare it to especially Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon, every movie toy line that's followed the 2007 toy line, and you really see the difference while also seeing the similarities to all the other toy lines involved with Hasbro Transformers, and especially around that time the 2007 movie line came out. You know, let me just paint the picture and delve deep and explain to you guys what I'm talking about here. So, in order for you guys to kind of see what I mean, there is a bit of a G1ified sort of blockiness and, not even G1ified, but just like a regular aesthetic all across the board with these 2007 movie figures that fit perfectly with everything else that came out around that time. Not even movie figures. I'm talking about classics, Universe 2008, Cybertron, Energon, Armada. You know, everything around that 10-year time frame, RAD 2001, Beast Machines and stuff. You look at everything that came out around that time, and you could see that these designers were so used to engineering these figures in that specific way that the movie figures just kind of bled over into that style of engineering. And then over time, you know, once especially the Revenge of the Fallen toy line came around 2 years later, they started mastering the movie style and Michael Bay style of designing these characters, and they just kind of did away with that sort of G1ified, overall unified movie aesthetic of the toys, and they moved into something more movie accurate, a lot more sculpted details, a lot more moving parts, and they're less blocky looking. Because I have in my hand right now, as I'm recording this, the original Clunker Bumblebee from the 2007 line. And if you guys have ever seen that figure, or if you own the figure, you will know just how blocky and, no pun intended here, clunky this Bumblebee figure is. I still like it. I mean, if you're not paying attention to accuracy, and if you don't want a Bumblebee that's accurate to this design in the movie, this is actually still a really solid figure. If you just want a Bumblebee figure in your collection that fits with your Chug stuff and Generations and whatever else, this is actually a solid option. It's not bad, but you look at the legs, they're super blocky, not a lot of separate moving parts. You look at the feet especially, they're literally one big square. You look at the arms, it's got rectangles glued to it, literally. You look at the chest region, it's basically kind of like a curvy square just plopped onto his chest. Like, everything is just super blocky and in line with that classics and Cybertron 2005 and Energon aesthetic of toy engineering. And it really made for fun stuff back then. Like, you handle a 2007 figure and you just feel kind of the quality. It's, well, I mean, if the figure's got ball joints, it might be a little loose nowadays, but, you know, you just kind of feel sort of a difference in handling a deluxe class figure from the 2007 movie and handling a deluxe class figure from nowadays, whether it's Studio Series or the mainline stuff or The Last Night, Rise of the Beast, you know, recent figures from the movies. And you kind of look at the whole landscape of it all, and you kind of analyze the releases of the 2007 movie line, and you see that they extended the line. And I think they might have just originally put Cybertron 2005 repaints in there as well, but I do know for a fact that they even extended the original 2007 line because of how good it was selling back then. And the way they extended it was putting in repaints of the movie figures themselves, and also they did repaints of classics in the Cybertron 2005 toy line. Do you guys see the pattern that I'm trying to connect the dots to here in this video? They even put repaints of figures from the original classics and Cybertron 05 lines into the movie line, where this is supposed to be a lot more realistic looking. It's supposed to be the Michael Bay designs. It's not going to be G1ified or that typical Generations styled of looks and figures for the robots. But it is. And I think Hasbro recognized that, especially back then. I mean, you see a lot more fans nowadays recognizing the blockiness and the overall chugified look of the original 07 line stuff. But back then, it was kind of like, oh, this figure's not accurate enough. Bumblebee's feet are too blocky. The concept art deluxe Bumblebee is a lot better looking and more movie accurate. It was stuff like that because people wanted movie accurate stuff. They weren't really paying attention to what Hasbro was doing at the time with engineering and what they were used to and what they were probably trying to do as well. I think they wanted a unified look with all the figures, even though it was movie stuff, so they could do repaints in the line. Like what they did with classics and Cybertron 05 stuff, putting it into this toy line here. That's kind of just me speculating, but I know for a fact, this is what I'm trying to say, that they took the engineering from the toy lines surrounding the 07 movie at the time, and they applied that to the movie figures, while still obviously trying to, make them at least semi-accurate to their movie designs. There is a bit more paint and a bit more surface sculpt on the arms and the legs and the midsections and the head sculpts than your typical classics or Unicron trilogy figure. But I mean, if you even look at Cybertron 2005, there were a lot of sculpted details, a lot of panel line work on those figures that you could really chalk up to and compare it to the 07 movie toy line sculpting and painting and line work done on those figures. So you can't even really say that per se, but probably classics, it's a bit different. So they did try to make them a bit more movie looking and accurate, but ultimately it just kind of fell into that category of how Hasbro was making Transformers figures overall at the time. More blocky, more durable, bigger, focusing on more accessories and gimmicks. While these movie figures were still fairly articulated, especially a lot of those deluxes and Voyagers, they were fairly articulated, and especially for today's standards, they still are. But you just compare it to everything going on at the time, and you just cannot help but see the similarities that I think it especially Hasbro realized what they did. It might have been subconsciously, or just they did it by accident just because of what the designers were used to at the time, but they even took advantage of that, and they extended the line by doing repaints of figures from classics in Cybertron 2005. So the whole point of this video is you look at it, and if you guys want to put the 07 movie figures with your Chug stuff, I mean, just look at those figures. They fit right in line. With more so the older stuff probably than the newer Chug figures, because, the difference between generations now and generations back then is that the figures the last 4 or 5 years have been going for more so cartoon accuracy after Earthrise ended. So there's less surface detailing and sculpt and less breakup paint. And they're more so cartoony looking, and they have less details, especially for the G1 stuff and some of the Unicron trilogy stuff. So it's more so with the older figures, but you could still fudge it in even with the new stuff if you really want to for photography or stop motions or just on your shelves. But yeah, guys, let me know down in the comments below. How do y'all feel about the 07 movie line being more blocky and less accurate to the figures, and it basically being that Hasbro was just used to engineering the figures like that, and they either intentionally or subconsciously made them in the same style as every other toy line at the time. Unicron Trilogy, Classics, Universe 2008, you name it. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. Catch y'all in the next one. Bye!